All right, I'm here with District 2 Council candidate Sam Stevenson. Sam, why are you here?
I'm here in support and to show my solidarity with the public sector workers across the state and the teachers at the UW, as well as like the grad students and research assistants that are going to be affected by this budget proposal.
You're a grad student, right?
Yeah.
What do you study?
I'm actually a professional student in the public health program over at the university.
So do you aspire to be a public worker, you think?
Yeah, I think so at some point. I'd like to work, maybe for like the CDC or hopefully if we ever get like universal health care, I'd like to be a government doctor.
And how do you think what Walker's proposing affects the future of public service in Wisconsin? Do you think students like you will be less likely to go into the public sector?
I think absolutely. People across the board are going to be less likely to go into public service, and it really lowers the bar for the private sector as well. I think that he's trying to chip away at organized labor across the state, and by doing so, he really is putting on a full frontal assault on working families, not just people in the public sector, but also people in the private sector. They need to realize that he's trying to split a wedge between these two groups of people, but the fact of the matter is, budget proposals like this inevitably affect everyone in a deleterious fashion.
So, people talk a lot about how depressing wages in the public sector depresses them in the private sector. How does that work?
Well, it's maybe I wouldn't say the effect is quite that direct, but when you see public sector unions under attack and collective bargaining rights under attack, they're getting pushed further out of the mainstream political discourse. And once that begins to happen, you really put private sector workers in a much more disadvantaged position if they want to form a union or collectively bargain with their employers, because they can't even point to public sector workers, which is the last vestige of the organized labor movement in this country. So that's where I really see the broad connection really coming into play.
And what do you think, is there anything the city of Madison can do if this bill passes to sort of, counter the trend against public?
Absolutely, and that's one of the things behind my candidacy. If I'm elected, unlike my opponent, I'm not going to vote to privatize long-standing public sector jobs, public city employee jobs. My opponent voted to privatize jobs over the Overture Center recently. She's also voted against card track neutrality when it comes to development projects such as the Edgewater. I would be adamantly opposed to that. So I think that there are a lot of things that we can do at the city level, and it's probably even more important now since we don't have a willing partner in the state capitol to work with, to make sure that we're doing the very best to protect working class families and to protect public sector jobs.
What is contractor neutrality? Explain that and why it's important.
Contract neutrality? Well, basically it helps unions organize better by preventing by making it mandatory, right, for people to, I'm sorry, I'm having kind of like a brain.
Did you say card check? I thought you said contractor.
Card check neutrality.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Sorry.
They got that from FCA and everything.
It's going to learn something new.
I mean, I think that's really important, though, to make sure that development projects around the city are, are employing union labor as frequently as humanly possible.
All right. Thank you very much, Sam Stevenson.
Yeah, no problem.